So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Cedric Beye. I work at Afrinic, and today I'm going to talk to you about internet number resources and Afrinic, but also let's say the impact on all this when it comes to digital transformation. We know that there is for some people there is for some people that are a bit recent with what's happening at African Union. We have that strategy, Africa 2020-2030, that has been there since, for now, more than 5 years. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. So first of all, before I start, I like to talk about regional internet registry because sometimes we tend to assume that everybody is actually versant with what is regional internet registry. So in the world, there is five RIRs, so the regional internet registries, and those five RIRs are the one in charge of anything related to allocation of internet number resources, so IPv4, IPv6, ASN, management of those resources, but also the running of the critical services that comes with those resources. So the database, so the WIS, the ADAP, but also the routing registry, um, RPKI. So there are so many services, but also most of those entities are also doing internet development. So promoting development of internet in all their region of services. But in the case of Afrinic, so we are the fifth area. We started operating since 2005. We are HQ in Mauritius, in the Indian Ocean. We are serving 55 economies. Sometimes people ask, okay, there is only 54 countries in Africa, 55 economies, because some of those economies that are within the African region are actually not part of Africa when it comes to geopolitics. We have 42 staff for now, and we have 2,300 plus organizations that are members of Afrinic. I will give you more numbers in just in a few. But before that, I would like to also talk about one of the biggest challenge that we face, which is the allocation of IPv4 addresses when it comes to RIR. Because of the way internet started, as you can see, most of the IPv4 allocation has been done via the central registry. That's what we call, in our jargon, the legacy allocation. And then, as you can see, Epinic has 45, and this is in terms of /8. Arin as 36, RIPE NCC as 35, LACNIC as 9, and Afrinic we have 4. And again, now you will see it differently because now there is a difference because Arin that was at 36, now they are at 98. Okay, the reason for this is now the numbers of /8 managed by region. And as you can see, in our region, the 4 that we have now moved to 7.23. And again, the reason why Arin is the one with most is because internet started in North America. So for sure, most of the first allocation of IP addresses have been done in North America. And also you can see RIPE NCC, Epinic, LACNIC. Now, the last one when it comes to global statistics is the available space in each area. So as of that was end of Q3 2024, there was no more IPv4 available for allocation in RIPE NCC, LACNIC, and ARIN. So all those 3 areas have already exhausted their IPv4 resources allocation. Epinic is still 0.17 of a /8, and Afrinic 0.061 of a /8. For those who are not really at ease when it comes to /8, so /8 means 16 millions plus of IPv4 addresses. Now, when it comes to, let's say, as of yesterday, because I had to do my presentation beforehand, we had less than 1 million of IPv4 available in Afrinic. So 900,000 plus, 985,000 plus available IP address. So meaning that we have already exhausted more than 90% of our available pool of IPv4. And we have 2,347 organization members. We have 1,318 members that have IPv6 allocation. We have, so in terms of this time, in terms of /24 for IPv4, we have 436,689 /24 available, and that have been already allocated. And in terms of ASN, it is 2,500. So meaning that at least each member should have an ASN, even though it's not the reality. Now, let's look at Internet number resources statistics, but for Ethiopia. But before that, I would like us to have a look at how is it in East Africa. So just to give you a benchmark, a way to benchmark a bit what we're going to see next. So instead, in terms of IPv4/24 for whole East Africa, so East Africa region here when it comes to Afrinic, we have 6 regions. We have Northern Africa, we have Western Africa, Central Africa, Eastern Africa, Central, Southern, and Indian Ocean. So meaning that some of the countries that are, in terms of geopolitics, part of East Africa are not really part. So you see that it's mainly all the countries that are around Ethiopia. So you have Ethiopia, Eritrea, Uganda, Tanzania. So mainly those countries. And here, when it comes to IPv4, we can see that we have 37,000 plus available allocation that have been made in East Africa. In terms of IPv6, but now this is in /32s to make it more easier. We have 452 that has been allocated. And in terms of ASN, we have 435. And the root object, it's 5,900 plus. So now keep in mind those numbers, and now let's see how is it in Ethiopia per se. So in terms of numbers, we have 8 members, so organizations that are members of Afrinic in Ethiopia. Most of them are LIR extra small, so meaning that these are network operators that are mainly ISPs, so that are allowed to do sub-allocation, and those are the biggest ones. So they are 37%. Then we have end user. So end user are those members that have allocations, but they use it for their own. It's for their own usage. It's not to do sub-allocation or to sell it to somebody else. I mean, to make it available for somebody else. And now, when we look at the categories, we can see that 62% of the members are LIR, so large internet registry, local internet registry, meaning that those are mainly ISPs, and 37% are end user PI, so meaning end user organization that have internet number resources, but that they use it for their own sake. When it comes to ASN, we have 8 members, we have 9 ASN, and as you can see, the number of ASN have jumped in 2022. Sometimes we actually say that jump is mainly due to COVID pandemic, because with COVID pandemic, there was a growth in the usage of internet, so more needs for that. And also sometimes the reason why you will see some a difference between the number of members and the number of ASN is because there are some ASNs that are allocated to IXPs. So that sometimes explain. And now when it comes to IPv4, we have 1,440 slash 24 IPv4. But now I need to show you something, because that's where you need to pause and look at the numbers. 1,440. This is for a population of 126,500,000. This is based on Google. I think that the numbers should not be that. It should not be like this one. So, but let's take this number, 126 million plus. So now, when you look at the total of IPv4 based on the 1,440, it means that we have 365,760 IPs. And when you do the ratio, it means that one IP address is actually used by 345 people. Can you imagine? It's like you take one car and you try to squeeze 345 people in that small car. So this is something that we should look at and see how we can do better and do more. Now, when it comes to IPv6, as you can see, we have only 3 allocations of /32s. And again, it is mainly at the period of COVID that we have that jump. So we move from 2 to 3, and which is actually a pity, because with IPv6, there is more possibility in terms of allocation of IPs to individuals, and also security and everything. Now, let's go to see why we were talking about the digital transformation. So African Union and digital transformation. So my aim here is not to go through the whole thing, but it's just to give you an overview. So the digital transformation strategy for Africa, so 2020-2030, it's an integrated and inclusive digital society and economy in Africa to improve the quality of life for Africans. So the background here is African Union drafting a strategy to help African country to achieve something significant, digital transformation. And for that, they have bloated it like they put it like this as a way to illustrate. So we have 3 categories. We have the foundation pillars. We have the critical sectors to drive digital transformation. We have the cross-cutting teams. And again, here, this is more, it's not about, it's not a directive, because this is not a policy. This is a strategy. It's a way to give a roadmap to African country and say, hey, if you want to achieve something significant when you do your digital transformation, this is how we can all be aligned and make something significant. But now, when it comes to digital transformation, most of the time we know that, okay, first of all, digital transformation is mainly 3 things: human resources, it's processes, and I would say infrastructure. So usually those are the 3 things that are very important when it comes to digital transformation. So, and then that's why we will talk about governance, we'll talk about data sovereignty, we'll talk about security. And now the challenge is this: how do you want to achieve digital transformation when things are happening outside of your country? It's good that we have CDNs that are willing to host their infrastructure in our country. But if we don't have the IPs to connect to those CDN, it's actually a waste of resources, because those CDNs will be in our country. Meanwhile, we will connect to those CDN in our country from outside of our country. And especially when we have an IXP, it's actually making more sense, because we have the CDN if we want to use CDN. And then we can connect to those CDN directly to the through the ISP. So now, if we want to achieve a real digital transformation for our countries, IP addresses are necessary. So it's something that we should not overlook. And also, if you want to govern or manage your digital transformation, I'm not shaming the the service providers, but hey, you have to get your own internet number resources so that you can host locally your services, your portals, and everything. And this is especially for the government. And also, some countries have data protection policies that impose data to be um, located, to be hosted locally. Otherwise, you are not allowed to host um, people's data if you don't host them locally. Now, how do you request internet number resources? So you can come to Afrilink. If you are a new member, we have a portal that is called NMRP, for new member registration portal. This is how it looks. If you are an existing member, you can just go to my Afrilink portal and then you do it for there. You do it there. Now, most of the time, the question that we all get is how much it costs. Yes, it will cost you money, but still it is reasonable. And how reasonable? Unfortunately, since because of time, I won't do a demo, but we have a cost calculator on our website, and this is how it looks like. We can just say what type of user you are, if you are end user PI or if you are LIR, and then based on that, you will say how much resources do you want, what type of resources, IPv4, IPv6, do you want ASN, and from there you will get all the information. Something else when it comes to internet exchange point. At the beginning of my presentation, I said that the RIRs also do internet development. So we support internet development, and as a way for Afrinic to support this, we will provide support to internet exchange point by supporting it as a critical infrastructure as per our CPM, which is the Consolidated Policy Manual, where all the policies of Afrinic are, and eligible entities or organizations will receive those internet resources free of charge. So for ISP purpose, and for that you need to be open, community. You need to be neutral, open, and community led. And also we have reserved resources for that in terms of ASN, in terms of IPv6, in terms of IPv4. So you can get in touch with us. Another way that we support IXPs, but not only the IXPs, but also the communities, is through our programs. So we have the Critical Infrastructure Support Program. We have the Technical Community Development, because as it has been said already, an IXP, it's not only an infrastructure, it's also a community. We have an ENICAS program where we make available Afrinic critical services, the critical services that are run by Afrinic. We have a DNS support program where we support everything DNS, not only the CCTLDs, but also we have the root server copy, etc. But also we have training and deployment help desk. So for anybody who wants to learn about IPv6, internet number resources management, we have our portal. We have our learning platform that is online where you can go self-paced, free of charge. And for those who have already been trained and are feeling who have already the knowledge and who want to do deployment, then we have a help desk where you can just reach out to us, and again, free of charge. This is part of us Afrinic supporting the community. Lastly, I would say that Afrinic is still on. Last year, we had, by end of 2024, we had 132 new members. We have done allocation of IPv4, IPv6, and ASN. And as you can see, all the services, the critical services are running with RDAP. Otherwise, internet will be blind by now. At least part of a big chunk of internet will be blind. The training are there, engagement continues. And also lately, I would say that on 15 October 2024, the Supreme Court of Mauritius have reinstated the official receiver to organize an election within 2 months, and now it has been, we had an additional 6 months. So this is just to give you an overview of where we are as Afrinic for those who are wondering, and for more information, we can go on afrinic.net/court-cases, and thank you very much for your attention.